Chop, the original Guillotine League podcast. Everything you need to know to avoid the chopping block. Chop is brought to you by GuillotineLeagues.com. Now, your host,
Welcome to
Charchian.
Chop, the Guillotine League podcast. I am Paul Charchian. My co-host, Brian Johnson, is going to hate this show. He doesn't know why yet. You both will find out in moments. Welcome, Brian. It's a heck of a lead-in right there. You're going to hate this show.
Great. Can't wait. Why?
Can't wait.
Well, are we
Can't
going
wait.
to talk about our survivor pool woes? Or is that
Oh.
why? Well, we're going to talk about some players
No.
in that game.
Yeah, we are. Oh.
Yeah.
Brian and I share a Circus Survivor roster.
Shared.
Actually, one other person
Shared.
past tense. All week you were pretty dedicated to the Falcons. Our third co-owner was dedicated to the Falcons. I was lobbying for a different team, and when the
I
Falcons
was very
came out-
torn on the Falcons and the Bengals, is the other team that you are alluding to. But yeah.
Yeah, and I had dedicated myself. I was like, let's go away from Falcons. You guys wanted Falcons, and I thought there was about a half-hour window when I looked pretty brilliant because I had Bengals, you had Falcons. They were up 15 points or something with 8 minutes left, and I'm like, you guys sunk us.
You're never safe with the Bengals. The Drake London surprise inactive, or at least after the deadline for submission for this contest hurt a lot.
That did hurt.
Even though it was supposed to be all Bijan Robinson in that game, but
Well, and at
maybe
that
we'll
point-
talk about him
yeah.
later in the show.
Yeah, his name might come up in the show.
Spoiler
Last
alert.
thing on our stupid Survivor entry, at the point at which the Falcons lost and our entry was dead, and I was advocating for the Bengals. At that point, I'm hoping the Bengals lose because I don't want to spend the whole offseason going, what if if we'd have won, if we had picked the Bengals, then we'd have done, we'd have rolled the, we'd have.
Well,
rolled
I
the-
got put in the position where I had to basically pick between the Falcons and but again, didn't matter. Doesn't matter. Congrats to those who had the Colts banked. That's the gold. That was the golden ticket.
That was the golden ticket last week.
Outside of some crazy other picks that probably hit. None of the Bills was a pretty popular pick. But anyway, enough. We're not here to talk about survivor pools.
No, we're here to talk about
It's my
guillotine,
fault.
which is
I'm
all
sorry.
about. We're talking to the survivors of guillotine leagues.
There we go.
And it was a historic bloodbath this last weekend. We were talking about the survivor implications. I've been doing this for 6 years. And well, you too, Brian, the two of us, we've been doing this longer than anybody.
Oh yeah.
I can't remember a week that had the combination of a 6-team bye week and this glut of high-profile dud games.
Mhm.
I think this was a historic bloodbath.
No doubt. And we're going to talk about Bijan Robinson later, but that is the epitome of just disappointment is an understatement, right? In the bipocalypse, you got the RB1 in the world in the most juiciest matchup of all time. But yeah, that was kind of just the tip of the spear for how bad it was this week. Some interesting decisions to be made in bidding this week. There's some interesting names out there.
Some great teams got chopped because of the bye week, because of these high-profile players getting chopped. This is, for most listeners and viewers, this is the best crop of free agents you've had all year. And Brian, you're not going to like this. This is the part of the show you.
Oh, I forgot if this was coming. Great. Okay. What is it?
It's time to spend money.
Yeah.
It's time to spend. For many of you, you've been heeding the advice that Brian and I have been giving you.
You know when you officially wait to do it? Because now that they're running the Christmas commercials, watching football, the only time I see commercials, so I was like, all right, yeah, time to spend. That's how I gauge when to spend fast.
Well, okay.
Once the Christmas commercials start.
Costco had the Christmas stuff out in August.
Well, I'm not a member, so that
there's-
doesn't count.
yeah.
I'm not a member.
Well-
I'm not a baller like that, thankfully.
It's hard to get into that exclusive Costco membership circle. I understand. Some great teams got chopped. You've got all these great free agents that are hitting the waiver wire now. Hopefully, we talked about this last week. Hopefully, you're sitting in the $700+ of FAAB left. This is the time.
Yep.
And let me demonstrate a couple of things for you. The price on the high end players has gotten to a stage where it's palatable. Matt Lamarca, if you put up this graphic that shows you how different it is now than it was at the beginning of the year to acquire end game players. Brian and viewers, you'll be able to see this. For listeners, I'll talk you through it. In week one, 14 players averaged more than $300 in cost. Last week, 3 players. In week one, 7 players cost $400 to acquire. Last week, it was only Bijan Robinson and it was only $402. So he was only $2 away from there being $0 that were averaging over $400. And in week one, there were 2 players that averaged over $500 in FAAB cost. Last week, there were none. So these elite players are now in the $200 range, which is where Brian and I have been telling you to spend for elite players all along. If you're still alive now, this is the time to spend, I believe. You're effectively getting BOGO pricing, Brian. You can get 2 players for the same $400 that were netting you 1 player in week one.
Yeah, and again, when you say time to spend, you're in that $600-700 FAAB range, right? That's if you're in the two
Or more.
300, it's pretty much the complete
it is
opposite.
not that you're correct.
You hopefully spent wisely to get to that amount that you should not be at this juncture in the season. But yeah, if you're spending single digit dollars if you're at the anywhere from $100 to $400 even. You can't make an aggressive $200-300 bid right now. You have to hope to survive the next 2-3 weeks, and then the price for the premium players will come down, and then you're a player again. But yeah, again, if you in the $600-700 range, yeah, it's time to spend. I'll throw in that I'm not going to break my R like $200 budget on end game players if their bye week is still looming. But if they're in the rear view mirror, and there's a couple we'll talk about, let's break the bank. The time has come, like you said.
Time has come to open up the purse strings. And one other thing, for those of you that have waited and held money, you also gained an arbitrage victory by not investing high FAAB early in the season on disappointing players or good players who got hurt. Bucky Irving, Amarian Hampton, James Conner, Malik Neighbors, Lamar Jackson. I mean, those are all guys that people were breaking the bank on, and then they got hurt. By waiting this long, you have not invested in players that you couldn't have possibly known going to get hurt. I mean, those are, and that's just a few people. Now, the other reason I think now's the time to strike, Brian, the remaining teams in your league are getting pretty good. And if you've been following the advice that we've been giving you, you're still motoring on your draft. You're motoring on short-term helpers. You don't have a lot of star power on your roster. These other teams are starting to get good now. It's time for you to remain to know that you can stay competitive, and I think this is probably time to make a move now. Of course, don't spend FAAB unnecessarily. If your roster is still great and you can hold money, it's a BOGO now. It's going to be a try-go in a few weeks. So always hold money. But Brian, the caliber of your opponents is now getting better as everybody's been consolidating players. All the rosters are getting better and better. And it might be time for yours to get better too if you haven't already acquired some end game players.
Yeah, no doubt. I have a full lockstep with you on that one. And yeah, and even if you're feeling comfortable with like 3-4 end game players, 1 or 2 of those have a bad game, that could be the end of your season. Now, earlier in the season, that's not so much the case, but yeah, it's time to load up. Hopefully you got the FAAB to do it.
Yep. The transition is happening now. To me, this is the start of my spending period. I'm not just blowing money wildly at all, but this is when I start putting in chips, and you're going to start winning some of those some of those wagers that not wagers, bids that you were making that were getting that you weren't able to pull out before in the $100 range, the $200 range that just weren't high enough, those are going to start hitting now, and it's time.
Yep.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. All right, let's I want to mention this before we go too much further and we start getting into the 10 most chopped players, which I'm very excited about because it is a bonanza. We're running out of days to get 1 year of Fantasy Life Tier 2 premium content for free with the Comet browser. FantasyLife.com/Comet gets you everything on Fantasy Life for 1 full year. You get all the tools, the utilization report, Fantasy Hub, live scoring across all your leagues, and most importantly, Guillotine-specific rankings. The only place you can get that, as far as I know. This is a $100 value. It is yours for free. FantasyLife.com/Comet is all you have to do. Install the browser, and the browser's awesome. It's got a bunch of great tools in it. This is a very limited time offer. I don't know if I'm allowed to say exactly when the limited time ends, but I'd go soon if I were in your shoes. All right, Brian, because we don't know every player that's available in your personal league, listeners and viewers, we do like to give you broad advice on where to put your bidding, and then we'll drill down on the 10 most chopped players. Brian, end game players are going generally where for you at this stage of the season? How much for end game level players?
There's I know at least one coming up. But again, if the bye week is still looming for an EGer, an end gamer, it's still 200-ish. I might bump it up a little bit, but an end game player with the bye week in the rear view, we'll talk about a couple.
We're going to talk about a couple.
It depends how much
FAAB
you have, but again, it's 300 plus. But if you're going all in, you can't do it. You got to have that's got to be like 50% of your budget. But yeah, we'll get into some specific cases here in a few.
Yep. And so those $200 bids that were failing earlier are going to start hitting now because so many people can't afford $200 bids anymore. For middle tier players, guys that you might start for the month of November, but they're not end game players. I don't know why I always talk about Khalil Shakir this way. He's great. And he's not quite an end game player, but dude's got more upside than everybody ever talks about. Those are the $10, $20 players that, they'll keep you alive for a week and or a month, you can keep playing those guys, but maybe not to the end of the year. You do have to be careful about not throwing down $20, $30, $20, $30 and non-end game players, because that stuff adds up.
No doubt.
And then
same goes for the end game players with the intermediate guys, whatever you want to call them. I will bump the price a little bit. I'm with you in the $10, $20 range, but if the bye week already passed, a little extra bonus for them because there is another bye apocalypse looming. Week 9 is not one, but there's 4 teams on bye this week. So yeah.
Yeah, we don't have another 6-teamer the rest of the year, but we do have several 4-team buys still left.
Okay, yeah.
No, it can't be.
I know. I forgot that. No odd teams.
Lower tier players, 1 week helpers, guys that you just need to get you through this week because this guy's got a nice matchup, $0 to $5. That's the range you want to be working in. All right, Brian, I want to start the 10 most chopped players from week number 8 as we're looking ahead to week 9 by reminding people that this segment is brought to you by Xfinity. Imagine all your football all in one place. Easy. Xfinity. Imagine that. The 10 most chopped players this week. I'm not starting at 10, Brian. Get this. And this is a curveball to you. I wanted to surprise you with this. I want to tell you about 11, 12, and 13. Because this top 10 list is already amazing. Listen to who's coming in 13th. A.J. Brown at 13. It's been a hit and miss season for A.J. Brown, including a lot of misses, but he's still a valuable player and probably worth something in the $30, $40 range, a possible end game player.
Let me ask you something. Is A.J. Brown more valuable if he gets traded? Basically anywhere.
Well, presumably nobody's going to acquire him and not use him. But usually when guys get traded, nothing happens. You remember we had like 3 wide receiver trades at the deadline last year and all the guys flopped. Nobody did a damn thing. The 12th most chopped player, Trey McBride.
Yeah.
12th most chopped player.
I expected him to be in the top 10, to be honest, because he's
Yeah.
just been so reliable at tight end. Hasn't had a ton of monster games, a couple, but I don't know. He's never finished single digit PPR points. I know in the 2 leagues I have him, I survived, and I'm very happy. Like, he's carried my McBride Bowers team. Like, if you had Trey McBride, you're pretty set. You were set. We never mentioned him once on this show until
No,
now. Yeah,
exactly.
I
And that
thought
was it was his bye week.
yeah, it was
Yeah.
his bye week. So, but tough guy. I think people luckily probably grabbed Aronde Gadsden to fill in for Trey McBride, the perfect
That
bye
turned out
week filler
okay.
there, who are now,
That turned out
who's
okay.
now flex worthy, by the way, in my mind, Aronde Gadsden. But anyway, who's number 11?
11th most chopped player? Jackson Smith and Jigba. He's
Again,
like top 3 wideout, and he was the 11th most chopped player. We didn't have a chance to get to him here.
he's been 2
I would
players. He's yeah, guy has been insane. So not surprised on a bye week for him to be on this list either.
Yep. He's in the $250 bid range for me. That is a priority ad.
I would more for me with the bye week gone. I'm over 300 easy on JSN.
Wow, who are you? What's happened to the real Brian Johnson talking about
Well,
$300 bid?
again, you're talking. I got anecdotally, I got $900 in the weeks I'm alive in. So Jackson Smith and Jigba's out there. I'm probably bidding 400 just
Enough to
make
just
sure
go get him.
Oh
Wow.
yeah,
I would say I still
you're not
wouldn't
going to see him
but
again. I mean, most likely on this list.
Yeah,
We're only
most
because it's
likely
his bye
not.
week, coming off his bye week. Yeah,
Yeah. Nice matchup against Washington this coming week as well.
matchup.
All right. Let's go to the 10 most chopped players. We begin here. And I swear every one of these has got some little thorny part that you have to consider for each one of these players. The 10th most chopped player, San Francisco running back Christian McCaffrey, a 13% chop rate. His utilization score is the highest in the entire league at any position, 98 out of 100. His upcoming schedule at Giants, then the Rams, and then at Arizona. Last week's median price for Christian McCaffrey was a very healthy $353. Brian, obviously an end game player, but not without risk. What are your thoughts on Christian McCaffrey?
Yeah, the risk is you mentioned his next 3 games. His 4th game is no game, or maybe that's his 5th game, but the bye week still looming for McCaffrey. And in week 14, too, by the way, of a very crucial week in all formats. Really has done nothing on the ground, virtually
Right.
nothing, all through the air. I think I saw Ian Hartit's tweet. So I don't have the exact numbers, but like remove all of his rushing, and he's still like a top 12 running back in PPR, which is what Guillotine Leagues format is. So he is an end game player, but I said earlier, if the bye week is looming, and I don't necessarily love the schedule either over the next few weeks. So I said, the 200-ish range is where I'm at for a guy, even of McCaffrey's caliber as an end game player. I'll bump it up a little bit. I'll go 215 on McCaffrey right now.
All right. I don't think you have enough addressed the risk in Christian McCaffrey 2 different ways. Number 1, somebody else has already gotten Christian McCaffrey's healthiest 8 games. You're getting an overworked, high mileage, soft tissue injury prone 29-year-old player with 2,200 career touches. That's item 1.
You say overworked. Maybe he's warmed up. Maybe he's just warmed up right at this point. He's not hurt. All right. Sorry. Go.
He's not hurt now, but he is the standard bearer for soft tissue injuries in the league. And he hasn't been hurt yet, and he's been overused. Number 2, do you think it's a coincidence that Christian McCaffrey pops up in our 10 most chopped list as George Kittle comes back? Ricky Pearsall could be coming back. Brandon Ayuk could be coming back. He's not running well. And when there's more targets for Brock Purdy, Mac Jones, in the form of those guys, that's going to dial back some of Christian McCaffrey's usage through the air. And his running's been bad. So there's some sneaky downside, I think, to Christian McCaffrey. And it's why I'm capping my bid at $200, which is still a lot. But we'll have to be aware of that.
We've agreed many times that rising tide lifts all boats, though, right? So all those pass catchers come back. Maybe that opens things up on the ground for McCaffrey a little bit.
Maybe. that,
Um,
maybe a more balanced offense will open up the ground game for McCaffrey. So I would hope that's possible. That
but
is
yeah,
possible.
someone will probably spend more than that, and I won't be mad if I miss out on my $215 bid because I think we'll hear McCaffrey's name one more time. So that's all I'm willing to spend right now.
There are other big name players at the running back position I'd rather have, including this guy. Number 9, most chop player, Detroit running back Jahmyr Gibbs, a 13.1% chop rate, utilization score 84 out of 100. His upcoming schedule, pretty nice. Minnesota, at Washington, at Philadelphia. Last week's median price on Jahmyr Gibbs was $100 less than Christian McCaffrey, which I think was a mistake. $253, although he was heading into a bye that week. Clearly an end game player. How much you putting down for Jahmyr Gibbs, Brian?
Yeah, only on this list because he had a bye last week,
Bye
and
week.
again, that's the only reason his value was suppressed or whatever. But yeah, bye week in the rear view. I said it. This is a top 5 overall player moving forward, moving backward, sideways. He moves all those ways very well on the football field. $400 at least, if say I got $997 in one league I'm looking at. If he's available, I'll bid for at least 50%, but I'll say like 450. It depends, but he's like a half your budget type guy if you're in that $700+ range.
I'm at $250 on Jahmyr Gibbs. I adore Jahmyr Gibbs. I think he's the most talented running back in the league at this moment. With all due respect to Jonathan Taylor, who's having an amazing season and blasting through gigantic holes from his offensive line, Bijan Robinson, who's been great, Christian McCaffrey's been good. Gibbs is the most talented runner in the league. He's got his bye in the rearview mirror from last week. He's healthy, long stretch of favorable matchups. It's just basically I max out at about 250, so I'm not going to go much higher than that. But I wouldn't blame anybody if you decide you want to go to war with Jahmyr Gibbs. Clearly an end game player. You might need to outspend 250, but you might just get him at 252 because of the dearth of money left in your league.
If you had $800, would you bid more than 250? Let's throw that one example out.
Yeah, a little bit, but not a lot, like 275.
All right.
Yeah. I need 8 endgame players. At the end of the day, I need 8.
But we know the scale is going to start sliding down. Jahmyr Gibbs you're going to get for $100.
They're going to keep getting cheaper, but I would like to get Gibbs. The 8th most chopped player, Chargers wide receiver Quentin Johnston with his 0 catch performance, 13.6% chop rate. I'm not spending a lot of time on this guy because I don't want him on my roster. I'm not even going to go through the schedule, anything else. I'm not bidding on him. I would bid negative $10. If you'll give me $10, I'll throw him on my roster and drop him. The emergence of Oronde Gadsden, I think, has devastated his reliability. I'm not saying Johnson's never going to have another good game, Brian, but I am saying they've got 3 good receivers and Oronde Gadsden, and Quentin Johnson, to me, is going to have he's got too much downside to roster. At this stage of a guillotine season, mid-season, I can't roster guys like that.
No, definitely not. Too many mouths to feed. Not only did he have 0 catches, he had 0 targets, and I'm pretty sure he had 0 glances. I don't think Justin Herbert can look at him.
Yes, correct.
Not that he really needed to in that game against the Vikings, but yeah, I'll just say I remember Ladd McConkey got off to the slow start, and he was on the show I think 2 weeks in a row, and I was like, I'm glazing myself here, self peacocking, but yeah, McConkey and Keenan Allen are the receivers you want, and Gadsden, who is a tight end, of course. Those are the top 3 now. QJ, spike week, danger. Don't touch him. I'm with you. 0.
Speaking of glazing, the people who like the caramel roll over the cinnamon roll, what's wrong with you? I don't even understand that. The cinnamon roll is so clearly superior to the caramel roll. The caramel roll, you don't get the glaze, you don't get the cinnamon. It's firmer. I don't understand I don't understand why anybody would make that decision.
No, caramel's better utilized than other. If I had to pick between rolls, it's cinnamon. Like we're talking Cinnabon type stuff, right?
Yeah, right. You'll note there is a company called Cinnabon that's been in existence for 50 years selling delicious Cinnabons. They're not caramel bonds.
No.
For
Great point. Great point.
The seventh most chopped player, Cleveland running back Quinshon Judkins. Oh, this is a meaty one. 13.6% chop rate. Utilization score is 68 out of 100. He's on bye this week, and he comes in injured, but he's been described as day-to-day. So the presumption is he's going to come out of the bye and be okay to face the Jets and then Baltimore. Last week's median price on Judkins was $165. Boy, this is a tricky spot here. Oh, high ankle sprain. That is not great right there. Oh, that's Carson Schweschinger that's got the high ankle sprain. That is not, I'm happy to say.
Judkins has a shoulder. I think he should be okay coming out of the bye.
Yeah. Matt, you scared me there. Producer Matt throwing up high ankle sprain on the screen. I'm like, what? Oh no. Okay, good.
I can't believe we got two players in a row. QJ initials. That's never going to happen again.
That may never happen again.
That's like a scoregami type situation here.
Can I give you? I've got a long dissertation on Judkins. Can I just dive in, Brian, and just mow your lawn?
Go ahead, by all means.
All right. Several things. The Browns feel like a ground and pound offense. They're not. They run the ball at the third lowest run rate, only 37%. And we're seeing Quinshon Judkins' productivity dropping a lot lately. And I think it's tied to Dylan Gabriel's noodle arm, because Gabriel can't threaten teams downfield. That means that defenders are playing closer to the line of scrimmage, and Judkins is suffering. Over the past 5 weeks, he's averaging just 3.4 yards per carry. That's crap. He's 24th. That ranks 24th among starting running backs. He's dead last in yards before contact at 0.4 yards before contact, Brian. Defenders are all over him when he's getting the ball. And he doesn't catch. So Judkins gives you this, he doesn't bail you out of a bad rushing game with a decent receiving day because he doesn't catch. He's been helping us with volume. Prior to leaving last week's game early, he'd been averaging 20 touches a game since he turned into a starter. So that has helped us, but I don't love what I'm seeing out of Judkins here, and I'm nervous about spending too much money on Judkins. What are you in at?
Yeah, definitely not putting too much money into Judkins, who a few weeks ago were like maybe an end game player, but most likely not. But the key word you said was volume. He'll still get that, even though not a lot through the air, which of course is a major boost in PPR leagues. Captain Obvious speaking over here, but after the bye this week, he is among like the top 5 easiest remaining schedules for running backs. I don't love the Jets matchup, but Chase Brown had a good game against the Jets. But we're looking too far ahead. He is on bye this week, so this is I think it's a good chance to get a guy that he's not, most likely not going to be an end game player, but you can he should be flex worthy, I would think, especially in some bye weeks coming up beyond this one, of course. So I'm going to kind of break the intermediate player rule where I cap it out on $20. I'll go 25 on Judkins. I think that's a steal. I think you can get him there being on bye, and he's got the shoulder injury, which isn't going to be a big deal, they say. So 25. And
you'll never get him at $25. I mean, he's still a high volume starting running back. I'm at $65, which is that in between range. And maybe you shouldn't pay that because I don't think he's an end game player. So maybe 65 is too much. A month from now, 65 is going to give you a much better player. But if you think Judkins coming out of the bye is going to be somebody that can help you down the road, then I think he's worth $65. But you might have talked me into a slightly lower bid.
Well, you talked me into it again. This really depends on how much FAAB you have left and how strong you are at running back too. If this is like if you got a ton of FAAB and if it's a luxury, you bid a little less. But if I'll definitely bid more if I'm in that $800, $900 range. But I think I was trying to speak more to the masses. But okay, it's a boomer, almost a boomer bust proposition to acquire Judkins right now.
Another bummer player comes in at number 6, Minnesota running back Jordan Mason, a 13.6% chop rate. Utilization score 63 out of 100, but dropping. Upcoming schedule at Detroit, Baltimore, Chicago. I don't like the game. Those are all offenses that can score a lot of points, and I worry that the game script is going to tilt against Jordan Mason in those games. It's not Jordan Mason's fault. He is a good player. He is in a bad situation. Brian, What are your thoughts on Jordan Mason?
That game flipped on the Vikings pretty quick, especially the script for running backs. I was shocked to see, Aaron Jones made his return and started, and even
Yep.
though he only had like 6 carries to Mason's 4 or 5, he still led the team, and Xavier Scott even got a couple carries. So, yeah, with Jones back, speaking of guys, soft tissue history, I don't trust him to stay healthy, but the whole prospects of the Vikings right now with McCarthy and Max Brosmer having 2 games of combined experience. I don't know. I'm not very bullish on that offense right now, and certainly not on Mason with Jones back. At least the bye week's gone for Minnesota. He might be serviceable in some spots. I don't think it's at Detroit this week. So $8.
Yep. I'm at 5.
Play. Yeah. Okay.
And, yeah. The offensive line has been injured and awful. And JJ McCarthy's, is a total unknown. What we did see was not good for Jordan Mason. And in the 3 Aaron Jones games, Jordan Mason had week 1, 68 yards, week 2, 30 yards, last week, 3 yards. It's not good. I don't think that at this stage of a guillotine season, it's too late in the year to have the kind of downside that Mason brings, especially because he doesn't really catch or catches very little. So, and these pass heavy game scripts look like they're coming against a Vikings defense that's faltering. I think I'm
Yeah.
pretty much out on Mason. Yep.
Yeah.
$5.
With the defense struggling, they go hand in hand. It's yeah. I don't even know if I want to bid on him anymore after talking about him in detail.
I might have talked myself out of it too. Maybe a sabotage drop. Halfway through the 10 most chopped players, if you call yourself a sports fan, you got to have Xfinity. All the games, all in one place, 5 different ways. Number 1, Sports Zone. Every pro football game and over 1,000 college games, highlights, alerts, all in one place. There's multi-view, view up to 4 stadiums at one time. The Xfinity Fan View, where you get live scores, odds, stats, all in one place, personalized to you. You get Xfinity's enhanced 4K. You doled out extra money for a 4K TV. How about actually getting a 4K picture? That would be nice. Voice remote, you can just say football. Or in Brian's case, say, I would really love to get knocked out of my guillotine league with $998 of bad luck.
Hey.
Imagine all your football, all in one place, easy with Xfinity. Learn more at Xfinity.com. Restrictions apply. New residential customers only. Taxes and fees extra and subject to change. I think you wanted to respond to that cheap shot, Brian.
No, all good. I'm about to go on a spending spree as soon as we
Yeah, you are. Okay. All right.
get off the mic here.
Let's go to the 5th most chopped player. And that's Atlanta running back Bijan Robinson, a 16.7% chop rate. His utilization score, 94 out of 100. It's Bijan, everybody. The upcoming schedule this next week is tricky. At New England, at Indy, then Carolina. Last week's median price, I already mentioned this earlier in the show, $402 for Bijan Robinson. Last week, he was the most expensive player you could have acquired. Now, look, you can acquire him widely. How much are you putting on a unicorn-style player, Brian, that is probably not going to come up too many more times in Bijan Robinson?
Probably not, but oh man, he could have if Kirk Cousins starts quarterback again this week. And Drake, I don't want to talk about that game again. For those that caught the beginning of this episode, the Falcons, but yeah, not the best schedule for Bijan moving forward. At least the bye week in the rear view, so that puts him in the premium price point aisle. But man, there's some tough matchups looking down the line in the serious crunch time. We're talking playoffs, of course. Seattle, top run defense in week 14 at Tampa Bay, week 15 at Arizona, week 16. Man, then in the Rams in week 17, and I don't know. It's scary that he did not come through in a matchup against the Dolphins where literally everyone went off against Miami so far. So I'm gonna forget that game happened. And if I've got the I like Gibbs more than Bijan right now, though. So I'm gonna bid a little less than I said I'd bid on Gibbs, which was like 450. If I had like $900, I said 50% of my remaining fab on Gibbs. I'll go like 45% on Bijan. So let's say like I'll say 420. Good number.
All right, you are hot. You are higher on him than I am. I've got 250 on Bijan, but again, I'm not going into the 300s right now. Obviously, I like him. These next 2 weeks are really interesting. At New England, New England is now the number one run defense in the NFL. For all we're talking about with Drake May and how great Drake May has been and how he has powered New England to this resurgent season, the run defense is the other story that nobody's talking about. I don't have this in front of me, Brian. I believe no running back has topped 40, like 46 yards against the Patriots this year. And after that, Indy is a sneaky good run defense and a bad pass defense. The way you beat Indy is through the air, and maybe Bijan will catch through the air against Indy. But and then Carolina's also turned into a pretty good defense. So New England, Indy, Carolina sounded like at the beginning of the season before we were playing games, the easiest stretch of 3 games you could ever imagine for a running back. They've all turned a little bit hard. Bijan Robinson, $250. All right, let's stay with Falcons, Brian. Drake London, the fourth most chop player, 16.8% chop rate. Utilization score is 81 out of 100. Last week's median price on Drake London, $162. I believe you don't have to pay that much now to get him.
No, a lot of nervousness around London, and by the time the bidding deadline hits on Wednesday, we're probably not going to know too much about his actual availability this week. But just like Bijan, bye week in the rear view, of course, that's a bonus. London, certainly end game player eligible, at least from a flex spot standpoint. Prior to this injury, I like to still think he's there. I think that 160 is kind of a fair price. I'll go a little less because we're not sure if he's going to play this week, but I'll go 130 if I'm feeling a little better about his health on Wednesday, which is not today at the time of this recording.
No, Matt Lamarck, if you can put your graphic back up of the Falcons logo, what I'm trying to figure out here is how does a Falcon have a paw? I mean, or is that bandage? Is he like all is he all wrapped up to because of Frankenstein on like a cat's paw onto a bird? Maybe that's what's going on right there.
Matt, we need Matt to chime in. We'll find out later.
I mean, that should that it's some kind of hybrid beast right there on the logo. And all the more reason, by the way, to watch the YouTube channel so that you get to see all this excitement. London slaughtered fantasy owners who didn't know about that late deactivation, or you pivoted to Darnell Mooney.
Yeah, which seems so obvious, right? It's like, let's play Mooney. Be fine.
Yeah, it didn't really work out. All right. So Penix should return this week. London should pick up where he left off. High volume. I think he is an end game player. I'm putting $95 under. Let's go to a third most chop player. Dallas quarterback Dak Prescott ran into the Denver buzzsaw last week. A 17.2% chop rate. His upcoming schedule, Arizona, then the bye, and then at Las Vegas. Last week's median price was $35 on Dak Prescott. Brian, what do you think here?
Well, just quickly about that Denver buzzsaw, not so much, at least for the next 2 weeks, with Patrick Surtain expected to miss at least two games, 2 to 4, I last saw. So, but yeah, Dak still suffered through most of that. So did his receivers. But I like the matchup this week on Monday night against the Cardinals. But the bye in week 10. So quarterback is still very deep right now, especially as the teams are getting trimmed in your league. Mm-hmm. And Dak is not mobile. Gotta love the receivers though, with CeeDee Lamb back. So, but man, he's really just kind of like you've been riding Jalen Hurts all year. That's the team that should be bidding on Dak right now. I don't think you need to be bidding on Dak if you got Josh Allen or Drake May right now, or you're a team that has a guy like Hurts on bye, or Baker Mayfield is on bye this week. I would throw. I'd be a little aggressive and bid like $15 on Dak just to survive this week, because quarterback is key, and I like the matchup. at home against the Cardinals.
Yeah. I've got a few extra dollars on
And
him
you can
because I
use them
think
again,
Dak
of
is
course.
safe.
I'm not saying like you
Right.
wouldn't drop him
Right. It's
during
not
his
a
bye week.
1 week pickup.
No.
Dak's a potential starter for you every week. His defense is incredibly bad. He's
Yeah.
throwing 37 passes per game. That's crazy numbers of volume. And so ultimately you get there. Between the opener and last week's game, Dak Prescott's average game, 285 yards and 3 touchdown passes, almost 3 touchdown passes, like 2.8. So he's been super reliable. And now with CeeDee Lamb, I like Dak Prescott. And I think he's an end game quarterback. He's one of the few non-rushing quarterbacks that's an end game quarterback. I'll bid $25 on him. Much like we did with the Falcons running right next to each other, we've got 2 Cowboys right next to each other. The second most chop player, Dallas tight end Jake Ferguson, a 20.4% chop rate, an inexplicable 0 points scored last week. Utilization score is 89 out of 100. He's got, like we just said with Dak, he's got Arizona then bye week. Last week's median price was weirdly cheap on him. Maybe it was because Denver was coming. $70. I feel like he's an awfully good tight end to only cost you $70. But with 10 teams left at this stage, Brian, most of us have sort of figured out the tight end position. So maybe the positional need isn't as high as I think it is, but that's $70 seems like a steal for Jake Ferguson.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd spend that much this week, but again, just like Dak, there's tight ends that are on bye. I said you might have Jalen Hurts, you need Dak. Dallas Goedert certainly has been carrying Guillotine League teams. So, there are teams in need of a tight end, and Ferguson, not just a 1 week plug-in, but it's a great matchup for him against the Cardinals as well this week. Week 7, Tucker Kraft, 5 catches, 58 yards and a touchdown. The week before that, Tyler Warren, 6 catches, 63 yards and a touchdown. Seattle tight ends. It's a great matchup for Ferguson. I think he bounces back. Even if you're, starting Goddard or have been starting Goddard and you're sort of just using Ferguson as a fill-in, I think he will have flex appeal and he could be an end game tight end. You never know. But again, the bye week in week 10, I'm not coming in at the $70, which you came in at last week. I'll come in half, and it kind of breaks my rule of the intermediate bids, but $35 seems reasonable for Ferguson. But don't be bidding on him if you're sitting on Trey McBride or Rondé Gadsden for that matter. You got to be kind of desperate.
I'm actually going $75 on Ferguson. I think he's an end game tight end. If I don't have an end game tight end, I think Ferguson's my guy. We love what we want in Guillotine more than anything else is reliable volume. And here's where Ferguson ranks. Second in utilization among tight ends, number 1 in targets per route run, number 2 in targets among tight ends, and number 1 in end zone targets. I love all that about Jake Ferguson. Now, CeeDee Lamb coming back and Ferguson immediately, goes belly up, although he'd had a better game 2 weeks ago when CeeDee Lamb was also back. But that worries me a little bit. But there's just so much passing in this Dallas offense. I feel like Ferguson remains uber safe, and I'm willing to pay $75 for an end game tight end. Our final player, Brian, Tampa Bay quarterback Baker Mayfield, the most chopped player. I didn't see this coming. I thought it'd be Bijan Robinson was going to be number 1. I'm a little bit surprised that it's Baker Mayfield, but I can understand why pretty much every league was starting Baker Mayfield, and his second straight bad game. Now he's on bye this week, which you alluded to a few minutes ago. Then he goes New England and Buffalo. Those are teams that are better. New England better against the run than the pass. Last week's median price, $29 on Baker Mayfield. Let me challenge you here, Brian. Is Baker Mayfield an end game player?
I would like to think he is, because I want Chris Godwin to return. I want Jalen McMillan to return. I want Bucky Irving to return. I want Mike Evans to return. Brutal year for the Bucks. I think we mentioned this on last week's show. Baker Mayfield is certainly an end game player in week 17 as of right now against Miami, even though the Falcons, I've got to bring it up again, laid an absolute egg against them. But Baker Mayfield is much, 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 much better than Kirk Cousins right now. So, but yeah, it's tricky going into the bye. So I don't know. I almost want to play keep away if you got a quarterback like Josh Allen, or you're still alive with Lamar Jackson. Say that's the case, but I would still want Baker as an option and to keep him away from my opponents. And going into his bye, you could probably get him pretty cheap, especially coming off that massive dud. So I'll bid like $12 on Baker, and I think you can get him for that right now going to the bye week.
Yeah, I've got $19 on Baker Mayfield. I do think he is an end game player. Obviously, will not have Mike Evans, but Chris Godwin, Jalen McMillan, which you mentioned, and Baker just finds a way. I don't think he's a different Baker Mayfield than the guy who looked like he was absolutely in the MVP conversation 2 weeks ago. Want to believe that his receivers will come out healthier. He'll come out healthier, and he'll go back to being a very good player and somebody you can go to war with in December as an end game player, Baker Mayfield. All right, Brian, our final topic each week is bidding advice on sort of regular players. These are the players that are on standard league waiver wires that you may want to grab in Guillotine as well, because these are guys that can help you get by a week or two. This regular guy bidding brought to you by Pristine Auction, something for every fan. We call this segment What You Bidding, or very specifically, What You Bidding, Brian. First-time users can register using the code FL20, that's like Fantasy Life 20, and get $20 in credits added to your account. If you've already been using Pristine Auction, bonus for you, use code Fantasy Life, all one word. Use code Fantasy Life when you win an item, and we'll give you $25 off at checkout of that item. So I was over at Pristine Auctions, and I'm looking for Cam Scatterboot memorabilia. Since his season is tragically over, I'm like, hey, let's go see what's going on with Cam Scatterboot, see if there's some cool stuff on him. Such a fun season, and he's basically everybody's favorite player at this point. Here's what I found. I found this from the Cam Scatterboot area at Pristine Auction. Take a look at this. Some salty Giants fan with 3 presumed starters now all gone for the Giants: Cam Scatterboot, Malik Neighbors, and Russell Wilson.
How could you be? Is it's somewhat a shot at Jackson Dart? Like, how can you be upset with Jack?
I know, right? Who's upset about that?
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. I Russell Wilson, future Minnesota
Russell
Viking, perhaps. What do you think? What do you think,
It's
Charchian?
come to that. Something's gone horribly wrong.
Well,
I think we can safely say that, I think.
there's
Yep.
a chance. There's a chance.
There is a chance.
There's a chance. Russell Wilson will be a Viking.
There is. Let's hope it doesn't come to that. Okay, let's take an opportunity to turn our attention to some of the regular guys. We'll find out what you're bidding on each one of these guys. We start with, I think, the most expensive player that's going to be available in a lot of Guillotine leagues, and that's Tyrone Tracy. We mentioned Cam Scatterboot, right? His season is over. Tracy, not as good as Scatterboot, but I figure he's going to get 12, 15 total touches a game, and he is not an end game player. But Brian, he might be somebody. I could see Tyrone Tracy keeping you going for maybe a month here as a flex level player. What are your thoughts on Tyrone Tracy and what you bidding on him?
Yeah, he is not Scatterbo, but no one is. That guy is unique, and hopefully he can return to that same form next year. But Tyrone Tracy, very good running back. Those who forget, as a 4th-round rookie last year, took Devin Singletary's job, who was Brian Dable's guy, a guy they brought in on a 3-year deal, paid him pretty good money, paid him starting running back money, and Tyrone Tracy straight up took that job. So with Jackson Dart under center, there's still excitement with that offense. It's a shame that Malik Neighbors got hurt and of course Scatterbo, but that opened the door for Tracy. So the Giants still have their bye. It's in week 14, but Tracy can catch, certainly flex worthy moving forward in the heavy bye week. So I would be pretty aggressive especially if I had Scatterbo. You basically have to go after Tracy or another running back, but I would target Tracy, and I would bid like $40 on him. He's a starting running back.
All right, yeah, I'm at $20 on Tyrone Tracy. Here's what worries me.
Depends how desperate
At
you
this
are,
point,
of course, but and how
he's
worth at least 20, no doubt.
Tracy has no touches from inside the 5 this year. and only 1 touch in the red zone. I mean, I think it's going to be Devin Singletary getting those goal line carries, unfortunately, and that caps his upside. And they got to throw to him more often, and hopefully they will. That's something we had hoped going into the season. Scatterbo was used heavily in the pass game. All right, next up, Miami running back Ollie Gordon. Mike McDaniel told us he wanted to get Gordon more involved, and then he actually did it. Now, part of it might have been just game flow because the Dolphins got up by so much they could run Ollie Gordon in the second half, but he was getting some carries before that anyway. They weren't all garbage time carries. They were pretty spread out evenly. 10 carries last week. Devon Achane is going to remain the starter, but Gordon is the presumed goal line back. They haven't had a lot of goal line opportunities all season. He's the presumed goal line back. What are your thoughts on Ollie Gordon? What you bidding, Brian?
Yeah. So Ollie Gordon has value whether you have Devin and Achane or not at this point. But I think at this time, if you're riding a stud running back like Achane, Josh Jacobs, Bijan Robinson, you got to get their handcuff. So if you have Devin Achane, you got to go get Gordon right now as a handcuff. The same goes for Emmanuel Wilson with Josh Jacobs in that same vein. But I think Gordon does have standalone value now. I don't know if he's a slam dunk start, but if something happened to Achane, certainly huge spike in value. I'll bid more as a handcuff. I bid like $6 on Gordon for the insurance, the Achane insurance. But if I don't have Achane, just like $2 on Gordon right now. Still not that excited about him or the Dolphins, even though they won that game against the Falcons.
Yes. Back to that again. Rubbing salt in that wound. Hey, speaking of handcuffs, Tank Bigsby emerging. If you give me an opportunity to talk Tank Bigsby, you know I'm going to do it, Brian. He emerged. He had a great game, legitimately great game. When Saquon Barkley stopped playing and it was Bigsby, dude was awesome. He had a 100-yard game in a backup role.
In what, 9 carries too? It was,
that's it.
Let's see. I got it right here.
He looked very good. In my mind, and I think we're going to talk a little bit more about this on Wednesday.
9 carries, 9 times he carried the ball for 104
9
yards.
times, 104 yards. I thought
Barkley had 14 for 150. Imagine Barkley didn't get hurt in that game.
Yeah, no kidding.
Which was like
he was
early
on pace
third.
Yeah. He was on pace for a big game. Tank Bigsby's just better than Will Shipley and AJ Dillon. So I believe he is the backup, and now that has been confirmed. All right, I just want to hit you with 2 more guys. Okay. And not the deepest week of regular guy pickups. I don't think Christian Watson's getting his job back. I think Jalen Noel is going to be the slot cornerback for the Houston Texans going forward. Now, you're going to have to pick your spot.
Christian
Kirk. Thank you. Correct. Thank you very much. I'm so done with Christian Kirk.
Exactly. Don't even. But I like Noel.
Yes. Exactly.
Go on about him. Sing us a Noel.
Very nicely done. 77, 63 yards the last 2 weeks for Jalen Noel. And he wasn't running a ton of routes. He ran 23 routes and 19 routes. That's not a ton, but I think the rookie grows, and we're going to end up in a position where he's going to be the preferred slot receiver, and maybe worthy of a roster spot. We got to be careful. I can't just dole out roster spots in week 9 of Guillotine Leagues because your teams are pretty good, but I could see a scenario here where he's a helper.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, he's basically been ramped up to like half the snaps, but if you extrapolate his output, if he starts seeing more opportunities, he'll certainly pay off, especially in PPR.
All right, final guy. Las Vegas wide receiver Trey Tucker. I believe Jacoby Myers will get traded. They just were out and bye. Prior to the bye week, he had this mystery illness. He could have played. Jacoby Myers doesn't want to play for the Raiders. The Raiders don't want him to be there. He's on the final 8, 9, 10 games of his tenure with the Raiders. I think they're going to trade him. Trey Tucker will move into the wide receiver 1 role, and with the Raiders usually losing games, I think you might just get some consistent production out of Trey Tucker. At $1, I can see putting a roster spot on Trey Tucker. What do you think?
I guess you're not worried about Tyler Lockett signing with the Raiders, the Tyler Lockett, Geno Smith, Pete Carroll reunion. Tyler Lockett requested the release from the Titans because they're going nowhere. He's like, yeah, maybe he'll get a shot with a contender. Nope. lateral move to Las Vegas. It's probably a literal lateral move, right? On the map, it seems like they're probably
that could be latitudinally even, yes. Roughly.
But I guess trade Tucker. But this is kind of I just want Brock Bowers to come back. Okay, that's all I want to talk about with the Raiders, which he should. But I don't know. Jack Beck, they've been ramping up a little bit. I don't think you can trust any Raiders wide receiver. If I'm desperate, I'll bet 0 on Tucker. I guess he is wide receiver 1 right now. Because I'm with you. Myers probably gone.
All right. So Brian, the what you bidding price on Trey Tucker for you is $0. I'll go 1 on Trey Tucker. All right. Thanks for watching, everybody. It's been great to have you all the way through it. An unusually long Chop podcast. Congratulations to being getting to the end, and you can congratulate yourself by getting the Comet browser for free, and then Fantasy Life premium content, the tier 2 highest level of premium content at Fantasy Life for free. FantasyLife.com/Comet. You get everything on FantasyLife.com, all the tools. You get it all, a $100 value for free. This is a very limited time offer. I encourage you to go now. Thank you, Brian. We'll talk on Thursday for a flex around and find out version. I've already got my guys tentatively picked out. Some of them we've alluded to here that could in this show that could be tricky starts this coming week. Find out who they are. I
knew I should have said Bijan Robinson last week on that episode.
Yes, you are. Yeah, where was your Bijan Robinson advice? Could have used that.
I'll make up
flex around and find out. Although I think we had a pretty good show overall. I think we hit most of our flex around and find out guys. Ended up underperforming, but we'll do a little recap next Thursday. We encourage you to join myself, Brian, and Matthew Friedman at that time. Many thanks to Matt LaMarca behind the scenes making this show go. We'll talk to you all on Thursday. Bye-bye, everyone.